So over the years, I've bought a lot of manga, and with manga buying comes manga shopping. So I thought, why not rank most of the Barnes & Nobles that I've been to throughout the years? So I spent time going to each and every Barnes & Noble within more or less a 50-mile radius, and my findings were a little crazy. And so today I'm going to be going over those findings with you guys. I split it up into 3 different categories for each location. So the first one is size. This is going to be, the size of sort of like the manga section. Second one is selection. Just because a manga section is big just doesn't mean they're going to have that great of a selection. And third one is atmosphere. This could be interior design, this could be smell, this could be almost anything. And so what I'm going to be doing is for each of these categories, I'm going to be ranking them on a scale from 1 to 10 and then averaging them out to see which location comes out on top. So let's get right into the first location. Yokoso, my manga society.
So we are currently on our way to the first Barnes & Noble location. Let's see what they have in stock today. Yeah, let's go see what they have.
So for this first location, I wanted to talk about the size of it. The size is actually pretty decent. It's a big U shape. The manga is placed on the outside of the U, and it actually has like a decent amount of books. So for this, I'm actually gonna give it a 7. It's not the biggest, but it's not the smallest. It does have room. It's not very prone to being crowded, so it's really nice. Next up is selection. The selection of this Barnes & Noble is usually pretty good when it comes to new releases.
They have like a decent amount of different series, but I feel like they don't have a lot of volumes for each series.
In that case, I am going to have to give it a 7 for that as well. Now, lastly, I'm going to be talking about the atmosphere. The atmosphere is actually really, really nice. This Barnes & Noble has that old sort of architecture on the inside. It has that old Barnes & Noble feel, which feels really nostalgic. I enjoy that. There's no like lingering bad smells or anything. I feel like everyone in there is just super friendly. This Barnes & Noble is just really nice when it comes to just browsing around.
It's got this nice sitting area over here. Just gonna read some Peek real quick.
I'm gonna have to give this an 8 out of 10. And so let's now average those out. That comes to about a 7.3, which it's like a C. That's pretty good actually. For each Barnes & Noble that I went to, I actually did pick up a haul. So let's go over what I got at this Barnes & Noble. Now I haven't read any of these, so I can't talk too much about them, but I did get Dian Angel 1, Kingdom Volume 3, Kagurabachi Volume 6, Blue Lock Episode Nagi Volume 6, The Bugle Call Volume 5, Tower Dungeon Volume 3, and Steel Ball Run Volume 5.
So we are on to Barnes & Noble location number 2. I did give my rating just now for the first location. Let's see how the second one lives up to that ranking. So this Barnes & Noble is actually a 2-story Barnes & Noble. Kind of crazy.
In a mall.
In a mall.
You don't see a lot of those anymore.
The size, I would actually like to say, like overall as a whole, this Barnes & Noble is like really big. And it's like a 2-story in Barnes & Noble, which is really nice. And in terms of the manga section is also pretty decently sized.
So this Barnes & Noble, I like the manga, how the manga section wraps around this way.
Overall, I'm gonna have to give this one an 8. There's just a lot of room to walk around. Now when it comes to selection, I'm gonna have to say, selection-wise, this Barnes & Noble, I feel like whenever I go to this one, it doesn't have the best selection. Now, like I mentioned before, size does not equal a good selection. I feel like whenever I try to go to this Barnes & Noble, they have a lot of random stuff and just like unpopular series that I wouldn't consider necessarily good. Every now and then I do find a few pickups, which is pretty nice. In terms of selection, yeah, it's definitely not the best. A lot of the ones that they have, I usually have already in my collection.
No pictures.
No pictures. How are you gonna read this with no pictures?
So selection-wise, I'm gonna have to give this one a 6. So now let's talk about the atmosphere. The atmosphere in this Barnes & Noble is absolutely horrible. There's one particular reason for that. It smells like absolute No, like it literally, The manga section is right next to the bathrooms, which makes it a horrible experience because it feels like they don't even clean those bathrooms. I don't know, the smell like leaks out when you're trying to like look at the manga, and it's just not a fun time. It's not. I'm sorry, Barnes & Noble, please do something about your bathrooms. The bathroom situation is gonna knock that down to a 5. So overall ranking for this Barnes & Noble, this averages out to about a 6.3. Now in terms of manga haul, I did find a few things when we went. One of them being Tower Dungeon Volume 4, Ichi the Witch Volume 1, and then Tank Chair Volume 6. This volume cover is absolutely insane. Snapkin.
So we were just at a steakhouse eating dinner and we found a random Barnes & Noble that we've never been to. So this was not on the schedule of Barnes & Nobles, but I guess this is just an extra one that will rank. So super excited to see what this looks like. It looks like another 2-story one.
We just went up, but we don't know if the manga is up here at all, actually.
And the size is pretty decent. It reminds me of the first location. It's in like a U shape.
So it's like a U, but it's on like the inside this time, plus like an extra section in the middle here.
In terms of size, it reminds me of that location, so I'm gonna have to like kind of give this a similar pointage, which is gonna be a 7 out of 10. Now in terms of selection, the selection is actually pretty decent. The only thing that knocks this down is it was really hard to find a manga that I wanted that wasn't damaged somehow.
So one thing that we noticed, a lot of these manga are pretty scuffed. All the ones that I've looked at that I've wanted, like look at that, it's like dirty, scuffed, like Asador over here. I pulled out because I want it, but look, what is that gunk on there? Like, how do you rip this? It's such tough material. All of the ones that I've wanted have been like scuffed. Like this Dog's Red, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the cover's like bent here. So I'm gonna have to dock it like some points.
It kind of docked my points down to a 6. The atmosphere for this one was also okay. It's pretty similar to the last one. It did have a weirdish type smell. Other than that, it was like okay, but smell I feel like really hinders an experience when you're trying to like browse for manga, you're trying to decide what to get. It messes with your brain. Yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna have to dock this down to a 6. So those all average out to a 6.3. In terms of manga haul, I was able to find a volume that didn't seem to be damaged or have anything wrong with it in any way, and it was Nana Volume 2.
All right, so we are on our way to the 4th Barnes & Noble. I wanna show you guys how maybe not so great this one is.
Location number 4. This was a disaster. Size, absolutely minimal.
As you can see, this is it. From here to here. This is like light novels even, so it's like the smallest selection of manga I've literally ever seen in a bookstore, I feel like. Or at least at Barnes & Noble.
I've seen half-price books have more manga than this location. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to give this one a 3. I said earlier, size does not necessarily mean selection. With a small size, I feel like that does sort of come with having not that great of a selection.
Even hard for me to find something that I even need here.
I'm gonna have to give this a 3 as well. Now, when it comes to atmosphere, I feel like the size also plays into sort of like the atmosphere of this as well. The manga section is so small. You have 2-3 people looking at the manga, browsing through the manga. You have to kind of like wait in like a Disney World line to get to the manga section. I feel like you need like a fast pass to even see what kind of manga they have. I'm gonna have to give it like a 3. And so that also averages, since everything is a 3, that averages out to a total being a 3. But I was able to pick up JoJo's Stone Ocean Volume 1. I think that's probably the only good thing that came out of this Barnes & Noble.
All right, so we are on to the 5th and final Barnes & Noble. This one I actually have also been to. This is one of my favorites, I'd say. Yeah, this has been super fun, and I hope you guys have also been enjoying this video. Let's go check out that last Barnes & Noble.
The size is absolutely amazing.
The walls for the manga section isn't like too tall, but it has a decent amount of rows here. And so it has like 3 full rows that look like this. On the other side of this, both sides, like this side and this side, are full of manga. And then on the other side of that, it's just one side like this. And then this is the last row. See, it has manga over here and over here.
There's so many different places for people to like walk through, even if it's crowded on a particular day. I feel like it's not gonna get too crowded to the point where you can't walk by someone or you can't browse the manga at all. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 9. In terms of selection, I'm always able to find a decent amount of manga that I need, to the point where I need to pick and choose which manga I want to buy on that particular day. Overall, this one is also gonna be getting a 9. Atmosphere. This also plays into the size, where you're not really bumping into people trying to like look at the manga.
So this Barnes & Noble is a little more modern, I'd say.
They have really good lighting, makes it easy to see the manga. I'm gonna have to give this atmosphere a perfect 10 out of 10. That brings it to a 9.3 out of 10 average, which is absolutely insane. I feel like for the Barnes & Noble that we go to the most out of all 5 of these, I feel pretty lucky to have this one in our vicinity. As for the manga haul, I did pick up 2 volumes, Fragrant Flower, Volume 11, and also DN Angel, Volume 2. Comment down below what kind of Barnes & Noble you enjoy going to. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to join the Manga Society today. And as always, this world is cruel, but at least we have manga.